What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 90s First Podcasting Network. My name is Mike, and alongside my co-host Joe, we take a look at some 90s content that we just can't stop watching. Join us on our flagship show, the 90s First Show. We look at some 90s content that Joe and I are watching, as well as some current stuff, and we end it with a 90s trivia contest. Or join us on Test Your Might, a video game debate show where we battle it out on the current news. Joe hosts as our good buddy Cicero and I try to get the high ground and go 1000 IQ against each other. If you would like to connect with us, we are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the 90s First. And finally, if you would like to support us monetarily, we have a Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/the90sfirst to show general support for as little as $1 a month. So whether you're listening to the 90s First Show or Test Your Might, Joe and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope that you have a blessed day. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 90s First Show, where we talk about some 90s content, but today we are taking a break because something special is happening today, and in order to make it special, I invited my buddy old Cicero on. I don't know why I was going to talk and say old
Cicero. Hold on, I should grab a bowler hat so I can wave it in the air.
Anyway, Cicero Holmes, the mafia lord himself, Stubby Stan.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Always make sure you see him. For the things. Anyway,
with the stuff.
Yeah. Cicero, it's been a while since you've been on the 90s First Show.
It has been a while.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, you were on the Star Trek episode. That's when we met.
Yes.
And then
I was on
you were on
Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
Chadwick Boseman Memorial Service episode. And here we are now. I don't know. I wonder what this is saying about things. Maybe I'm starting to, we talk about a theme.
Yeah. I mean, this is simply
here.
just talking about Jelly can't make it this week, and you offered. So that's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I wasn't even invited. I had to offer. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
So we
and
record.
You said you love podcasting.
I do. But me and Jelly do not have day jobs, and you do. So I never really bother you because you're working.
That's correct. That is correct.
You can't just bother the mafia lord. He's just
you got to reserve time.
You got to talk to his constituents. You got to. All right. Anyway, listeners, this is once again an off the rails beginning to a podcast, but anyway, we're the 90s First. Thank you for giving us your ears and listening to us. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. And finally, we're at the 90s First at everything, so go check us out on social media and Patreon if you would like to support us there. Well, today, Cicero, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite directors of all time. And in honor of his legacy and his recent passing, we're going to be talking about Richard Donner today. So, again, listeners, we're kind of even though Richard Donner did some 90s films, we're going to take a break from that and just talk about his legacy and talk about our favorite things about him as a director and some of the movies that he created. So we're gonna start it off right off the bat, and we're just gonna talk about our favorite Richard Donner movie. You have one choice, Cicero Holmes. What do you got?
Oh man, one favorite Richard Donner movie?
One choice.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right, I guess I have to go with Superman.
Superman? Okay. I mean, it's a good choice. Like, why are you salty about it?
Because there's so many. There are so many that I really, really love.
All right, Superman. So, he did the original Superman, and then he followed that up with Superman 2. However, the story was that he was kicked off that one, and then eventually there was a Richard Donner cut that came out. So, but we're talking the original Superman. What do you like about this film? I mean, is it just like is it just the tagline that he had? Like the tagline was, "It will make you fly" or something like that, right?
Well, I mean,
let me get the actual tagline before. You'll believe a man can fly. Yeah, can fly. There you go.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It was on the poster.
Yeah, and you did though. So I mean, this movie came out when I was 2 years old.
There you go.
But I remember seeing it in the movie theater, which means that it stayed in the theater for at least 3 years. Like back in the day, movies would stay in the theater. Like there was no place else for movies to go. There was no HBO really. There were no VCRs really. So there was no place for movies to exist except in the movie theater. So movies would stick around. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I remember seeing Superman in the movie theater. And it was just remarkable. Like this guy was flying and it was like we really only had another superhero film at the end, 10 years later, or 11 years later with Batman 89.
Yeah.
And then it was years again before we actually got to a place where we could have superhero movies. Like superhero movies are the dominant film now. Mm-hmm. But Superman came out in a time when there were no superhero movies. Yeah. So it was incredible.
Well, to actually create a good movie like the original two Superman, Superman 1 and 2, they're actually really good.
Yeah.
All things considered, I mean, you think of the pantheon of superhero movies we have now, and you have CGI, but these using practical effects, and Christopher Reeves was a great Superman as well. Yeah, I totally agree. Great films, great films.
Yeah, yeah.
and then you hearkened to Batman 1989, and people forget that Superman and Superman 2 kind of started that legacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't.
So what's your favorite? We don't have to guess, but go ahead and talk about your favorite Richard Donner.
I mean, I was going to ask if you wanted to take a guess, like a little gander. I don't know, listeners, if you're watching the video version, I mean, there might be a little hint.
Right.
Just a kind of like a big hint.
I'll just say. Yeah. So we all know that the Truffle Shuffle.
Yes.
And and you enjoy Baby Ruth.
Actually, Baby Ruths are pretty tasty. Anyway, my favorite Richard Donner film is The Goonies. It is actually my favorite movie of all time. So it is not. It's not simply just my favorite Richard Donner film. It's my number one. Certainly, you could parse some flaws out of there, but it's a dang near perfect film in my eyes. I mean, you're following this ragtag group of kids called the Goonies on a treasure hunt for One-Eyed Willie's treasure, and they get into some antics. They have some murderers and bank robbers chasing them the whole time, the Fratellis, and it just hijinks and shenanigans pursue. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want, Cicero? How come the Goonies is so good? It just is.
It is. It really is good. I mean, I would sit here and make fun of you for liking something that is either not as great as you want it to be, or just flat out bad. But The Goonies is fantastic. Like, there's no hyperbole in your explanation of and your love affair with the Goonies.
Man, it was. I mean, you have a young Josh Brolin. You have a young Thanos in there, man. Snapping at his little brother.
That's right. Getting the girl at the end.
Yeah, Sean. You said Sean Astin, young Sean Astin, little Samwise.
Yes. Little Samwise Gamgee. There's a lot going on there. Corey Feldman.
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing cast, and just kind of that the Goonies really, even more so potentially than Superman, really showcases Donner's like directorial prowess. He's working with a bunch of kids, and they're good actors. And that's all because of the work of Donner with them as well. You don't. Obviously they're on the hunt for a treasure that is not real, but you get this sort of sense of realism from the Goonies. And that's all because of the help of the director as well. Richard Donner was a stud, man, and he literally made my favorite movie of all time, which is
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Whoa.
I was gonna say, so I didn't realize until I was doing research for this episode that he also made a show. He directed several episodes of a show that weird, the 70s were a weird time, y'all.
Are you talking about Kojak?
No. Kojak's a thing, right? That's Telly Savalas eating lollipops, getting diabetes. But the Banana Splits Adventure Hour. The Banana Splits were these.
What is this?
They're theme park mascots that are bizarre ones that live in this theme park, and they just play around all the time, and they have giant heads and they're dogs. It's blatantly obvious.
Is it bananas?
Whoever created this was really enjoying themselves in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean this came out in the 70s. But apparently, I'm looking at it now. Apparently, some of it came out in the '60s. So kind of that era.
Well, it's all that. Flower power and weirdness. But there were reruns for kids late into the '70s into the early '80s, and I remember as a kid watching the Banana Splits because it was just bizarre. And enjoying it, and so he directed some of that too.
That's really crazy.
Which, yeah.
And looking back, there were a lot of shows that he did episodes for that I remember watching as a kid, like The Rifleman from the '60s. Yeah. I remember watching that with my dad. One of my favorites of all time, The Twilight Zone. You got to
did 6 episodes.
Yeah, you got some episodes there as well. Gilligan's Island. I mean,
wow,
some high quality stuff. Wow. Oh, Get Smart.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Get Smart's great.
Yeah. Look at that. That's crazy. So it'd be weird to.
Did you in your digging of the Banana Splits Adventure Hour? Is there some of this on YouTube so I can
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, right. You can go ahead and find the Banana Splits. It's and so it was one of those things in the 70s where they would always have live action stuff that was going on, and then there would be cartoons, and that was the show, but the cartoons were more realistic than the live action stuff that was happening. Always. So this dude also did something kind of remarkable. I think that not enough people talk about this series, but this buddy cop series, this was probably one of the last really good buddy cop series, and that's Lethal Weapon.
Okay, so my next question to you is actually going to be, what do you think is the most underrated film that he's done? Would Lethal Weapon be that for you?
I think the Lethal Weapon franchise is underrated. Like when because here we are now, 30 years out from the last ones, 25 years out from the last one being completed, but 30 years out from the series existing.
Yeah.
And people really don't talk about it. Like, the 25th anniversary of Lethal Weapon 3 came and went, and nobody really talked about it. And when people think about shows and they bring things back. Now, Lethal Weapon was rebooted as a series, but it was just buddy cop.
Yeah.
And they just kind of reused the character names. But I don't think people think of the movies as something being noteworthy. Yeah. And I really do think that they were. All four were good.
Yeah, I would agree with you. What was interesting about Lethal Weapon 4, from what I can remember, it kind of took a little bit of a twist. I mean, they had, right. I believe some of the enemies were like ninjas or whatever.
Well, it was Jet Li was fighting them.
Yeah. Okay.
So and then Chris Rock was also in it.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely,
right,
definitely by the fourth one it took a little bit of a left turn, but.
Right.
Guys, if you're listening to this right now, and Cicero will back up these words, Lethal Weapon is a good film. It is a fun and good buddy cop film, and definitely worth a watch. 100%. Right. It's one of Mel Gibson's underrated films. When you think Mel Gibson, what do you think? I mean, you think Braveheart, you think some others. Lethal Weapon's up there. I really enjoy that film.
Well, so to me, each subsequent sequel gets better until you get to 4. Right? I think Lethal Weapon was great. I think Lethal Weapon 2 was better than Lethal Weapon. Mm-hmm. I think Lethal Weapon 3 couldn't really ramp up the action. It became more like a Beverly Hills Cop type of film at that point, where they had more comedy with the action, but I thought was overall still a better film.
Yeah.
And then Lethal Weapon 4 was it was like everything that they were trying to do. But I think what they were trying to accomplish, they pulled off. It just probably wasn't as good as the first 3 films.
Yeah.
But definitely worth watching, in my opinion.
No, sure.
And probably the one that holds up the best now, I think.
Lethal Weapon 3?
Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think people would. I think history will judge that one a lot less harshly than the other ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, and just those who are wondering, I believe you could watch the original 2 Lethal Weapons on HBO Max. I am looking at that right now. So if you have a quick subscription to that, Lethal Weapon 3, you can jump over to HBO Max as well for that. So that whole series is on there, it seems.
So, and 4?
4, I'm checking right now as we speak, and yes, it's on there as well.
Okay.
So that whole series is on HBO Max.
So it's on the HBO Max. Cool. Watch some Lethal Weapon.
There you go. You ready for my underrated film?
Yeah.
The Omen. So
which Omen is it?
The original. Omen, 1976.
Yeah.
Mysterious deaths surround an American ambassador. Could the child that he is raising actually be the Antichrist, the devil's own son? Now, Listeners, I'm a huge horror film fan, so The Omen is up there as one of the best that you will ever see. Made in '76, and Richard Donner directed it, and it follows this kid Damien, who is basically demon child. He's the demon spawn, and like it seems like all these it seems like all these unnatural things and unnatural deaths are happening around him, and it shows that he is kind of possessed. And this is one of the, along with The Exorcist, is one of the original like possession films and like, supernatural horror films. And quite frankly, it's very good. It's very good. So I definitely think you should watch it. Definitely consider that. It's one of my favorites, probably underrated for a lot of people. Not one that kind of on the cusp of like, some of the horror film greats. So, 2 years later after The Omen, you have my second favorite film of all time, Halloween. So started the slasher days. Omen you cannot watch currently on any streaming service. So sad day.
I watched The Omen when I closed my eyes. The first time I ever saw The Omen, I was 6 years old at summer camp. We watched The Omen and The Exorcist.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was 6.
That's not right.
No.
That ain't right, dude.
No. This was not my choice. But it is a thing that happened to me.
Oh boy. Yeah, listeners, don't show your 6-year-old The Omen or The Exorcist for that matter. Yeah. All right. Cicero, last question on like Richard Donner here.
Yeah.
What was like, what do you think his like best trait as a director was? Like what stamp do you see is the coolest thing on his films? Like his impression. What do you got?
So I think one thing that Richard Donner was able to do successfully across all of his films was take absurd situations and make them feel relatable. Make them feel believable. One of his films is The Toy, starring Richard Pryor, and Jackie Gleason. Yeah, and Jackie Gleason, where Richard Pryor is a guy who's down on his luck, and Jackie Gleason decides to buy Richard Pryor for, I don't know, $50,000 to be his son's friend and toy for 30 days or something, some goofy 80s movie trope or something, and the whole premise is just like, what, and it works. So like you walk out of it thinking, oh, all right, I can see how that could happen, and and there's no way that you would think that that's even possible.
I think actually The Toy, listeners, let us know, but I think this is like the second reference to The Toy in our past episodes. I believe when Chris Clow was on the last Test Your Might, he did bring it up, if I'm not mistaken. Nice. But yeah, interesting film. Certainly one, and Cicero as a black man in America, certainly one that you probably cannot make now.
It's problematic.
Yeah.
Oh, completely. Completely.
Actually, but, no, it was on the other podcast that I was telling you about that I do with a couple of other buddies. We were talking about that.
Right.
That's what it was from, and so we mentioned this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going through a list of movies that probably couldn't be made now, and The Toy made that list.
Yeah, 100%. This movie can't be made now. But the thing is, the movie was made. So the way I feel like if it was made, you can watch it, and you can like if there are things on your plate that you're eating some food and there's some things on that plate that you don't like, you can pick those things out and still enjoy the meal. Meal's already made. Just go ahead and eat it.
But you're eating all your Brussels sprouts or you ain't leaving the table.
Hey, there you go. That's right. They're good for you. And your spinach.
One of the things that I really enjoy, Donner's, I think he's very good at extracting emotion from his characters, right? So like I think of the Chunk scene where the Fratellis have caught Chunk, and he's this kid's just a kid, right?
Right.
He is new to acting basically, and the scene where they're eating ice cream around Chunk and listening to Chunk's life story, but he's like crying through the whole thing because he thinks the Fratellis are going to chop off his fingers unless he tells the full story. And the funny part is that he starts all the way back in like fourth grade or like in like kindergarten or whatever, and all they wanted to hear from him was the story of like the kids going to get the treasure.
Right.
And you just see the emotion that that Donner was able to get out of Chunk, the character in
right.
that scene. But like even thinking about The Omen as well, like in The Omen, there are a lot of pan shots, right? There's a lot of shots that just go to Damien's face, right? And go to some of the actors' faces and just like seeing their emotions just like shown in just an image of their face. Like they can see the emotion that's going through all their head, and he just kind of brings that out in their acting. And obviously you have that in Superman too. I mean, you have Lois Lane showing that emotion. Christopher Reeves, like, Superman has to have a lot of emotion if he's going to basically distract people from having them realize that if he just takes off his glasses, he is Superman, is Clark Kent. So, I mean, Donner just does that really well, and it's something to be applauded, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what's your underrated film?
The Omen.
The Omen. Oh yeah.
Omen. You got another one you want to talk about?
I do. Okay. I actually, the last film he did was 16 Blocks. I didn't I realized it, but I didn't realize that was his last film.
Okay. Yeah.
The last film that he directed was 16 Blocks, starring Bruce Willis and Yassine Bey, also known as Mos Def. It's kind of like a cop drama.
Yeah.
Set in New York. It's a really, really good film. And the thing about that film that's different from some of Donner's other films is that it's more of a thriller than it is an action film. But boy, it's super good.
Definitely something that I have never seen. So, something that I might have to catch, maybe grab from the library or something. So it doesn't look like it's on streaming service. What are we doing here, Richard Donner Films? Come on now.
Come on. That's bad news.
Bad news bears.
Yeah, that's super good. Yeah, so, it's one of those things this is one of those films like, hopefully it'll wind up on somebody's service at some point. It's worth a $3 rental.
Yeah.
But in the age of movies, of like 17,000 streaming services, justifying renting anything is tough.
It'll show up eventually, you know.
Yeah, it'll show up eventually, but if and when it does, go and check it out. It is super good.
All right, so round it out. Last thought on Donner as we close the episode out. Well, we'll do one more segment, but last thought.
Just an incredibly gifted filmmaker who inspired many other filmmakers. You know, hopefully enough people gave him his roses while he was here. And you know, his work and his legacy will live on in these films.
Couldn't agree more. I posted this on Twitter with an image of the Goonies, and basically, Richard Donner, you created my favorite film of all time. You helped bring the Goonies to the screen, and for that, I'm forever grateful, because not only do I have so many memories of this film, it is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. You guys watching the video version, I have a huge poster of the Goonies right behind me. That's why Cicero was like, I don't know, I wonder what your favorite movie was. The Goonies will always be my favorite, and thank you so much for that, Richard Donner. So, all right, Cicero, we'll round out the episode with just what else have you been watching? What you been into recently? Let us know.
So I've been watching a lot of The Expanse on Prime Video with my stepson Roger. We're watching season 5. He finally got caught up with The Expanse, so we're watching season 5 right now. Show's pretty good, guys. Also watching Superman and Lois, new CW Superman show. Okay. It's How's actually that? It's not bad. You know, I'm trying to check out the first season. They've got some things going on. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Let's see. I am also watching Big Brother.
Yeah, me too.
The new season just started.
That's true.
Right before this recording, so super excited about that. And speaking of
first, hang on. I'm a Big Brother fan. First impressions, just go quick.
Oh, first impressions. Hey, I'm happy the show's back. That's it. I'm happy the show's back. I'm happy the cast is actually diverse, and I look forward to what they're going to be doing this summer, and happy they're going to be making a little bit more money.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. Yeah. Good. I'm with you on that. I also agree. I'm also thankful they have some body diversity as well.
Yes.
Which is really cool. So
yes, yeah. This weekend I plan on watching lots of movies. So, speaking of superhero movies,
are you biting the $30 bullet?
I'm not even biting the bullet. I'm inviting the bullet to sit down at dinner with me. What? This is a no-brainer of no-brainers.
All right, Cicero's buying Black Widow Premiere Access.
Yeah.
I will not be. I will try to get to the theater. So I'm not spending $30.
Well, all right. So wait a minute. So are you going to go to the movies by yourself?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, you're going by yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the people in my house, I'll spend at least $30 between the tickets and concessions and gas.
So,
but
yeah. And so, Cicero, you got a fancy popcorn maker too. So.
I've got a fancy popcorn maker. I've got big reclining chairs. I've got Dolby Atmos. I've got a big, beautiful screen. I got the movies in my house, baby.
Yeah, I need to come over.
Yeah, come on over.
All right. I'll get my Premiere Access through Cicero.
There you go.
Anything else you've been watching, or is that it?
Oh man, there's a lot I've been watching, but that's all I'm gonna talk about. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna talk about. Speaking of Superman, on HBO Max was what I've been watching the original Super Friends from 1973.
Oh, there you go.
because that's hilarious. Yeah, that is a show. Yep. That is a show.
I also watching the Super Friends.
I also finished Green Lantern. We talked about Green Lantern one Test Your Might episode, so I watched all of the Green Lantern
series.
One season on the animated series on HBO Max. So
good series.
Yeah, good series. Check that out if you guys haven't seen that.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been watching much. I've been on a YouTube kick recently. So kind of just just kind of going down YouTube rabbit holes. Been watching disc golf on YouTube. I showed you yes. Showed you a little bit of the World's Championship where my boy James Conrad threw in a 257 shot to force a playoff. Yes,
the clutchest moment of all time.
In my opinion. Yeah. And then I've been down the disc golf rabbit hole, and then other than that, been watching Loki on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So not hot on it. So
are you all caught up?
I'm not. I've just watched 1 through 4. Episode 4 was my favorite so far. So at least it's going up. So, and then other than that, just that's all I've been watching. Yeah, I haven't been watching much.
Okay. Well, do you
Big
have
Brother and then Bachelorette as well? I watched Bachelorette with the wife.
Now, do you have Paramount Plus?
I do.
So, are you going to be watching the feeds?
I don't know if I'll suck myself into that. I mean, potentially, we'll watch it if we're bored. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's Big Brother time, baby. It's best time of the summer.
Some people would argue that maybe that's like baseball or something, not Big Brother. No. Okay.
No. Yeah. Listen, you're almost guaranteed that one of the people that you're rooting for has a good chance of winning in Big Brother.
Yeah. True.
So.
All right. Well, listeners, that's our tribute to Richard Donner. So thank you for listening. If you've listened this far, I, first of all, appreciate you. Yeah. Secondly, our next episode of the 90s First Show will be our review of the original Space Jam and the new Space Jam. So I'll do a 90s Now segment on that. So stay tuned. We'll also hit you with a couple thoughts on the Space Jam video game. We did talk about that on Test Your Might, but we'll also talk about it on the 90s First Show during that episode. So stay tuned for that. That should come out. I will give you somewhat of a date here. Let me pull up my calendar. We're doing an early release on that, so it comes out next week, Friday on the 16th. So we will do like a release on Monday the 19th, or we'll release it on 20th with Test Your Might as well. So, all right.
Some hot takes. Some hot
hotness.
Space Jam takes.
Yes.
Right.
I do think the new Spice Jam or Spice Jam
the new Spice Jam, yeah.
All right, I think we just need to end.
Get us out of here, Chewy.
My name is Mike. Cicero Holmes, Mafia Lord himself. We're out of here. We'll talk to you later. Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.